Hi everyone, this is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. My guest today is Linda Goldman. Linda is a nutrition expert. She has made it her lifelong passion to live a healthy lifestyle, and she's an author of about 35 books, many on the topic of nutrition and healthcare. And she has a fantastic blog called healthyorganicwoman.com. Welcome to the show, Linda.
Nice to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here because healthy living for us women over 60 is super important. And I know it's been a passion of yours for years.
It has, yes.
And, you know, you're one of us 60 girls. And, you know, I think we both talked about this, that we feel healthier in our 60s because we've paid a bit of attention to the food we eat. And one topic that comes up a lot when we're out there in the market buying food is whether we should be buying organic food or whether we can get by with the avocado that's not organically grown. And, you know, of course, there's always a price consideration. So I'd love to get your feedback on this. You know, what do you think are the benefits for, choosing organic foods over 60?
Well, you know, I think our health makes up our life right now. I mean, if we're not healthy, if we're not feeling well, or we have some kind of illness, we just are not enjoying life. We can't do the things we've waited all our lives to have the time to do. And so really, I mean, being healthy now is a really wonderful time of life. If you're healthy, you can do all the things that maybe you haven't had time to do when you're raising a family or working full time. And for me, I mean, that's one of the most important underpinnings of my life is to feel healthy and have energy. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I mean, yes, it's true. Organic food does cost more. But I prefer to pay the farmer than the doctor. I know a lot of people that are on all kinds of medications now or have some serious illnesses. And, I can't guarantee it's because of my food, but I feel that it's had a big part in keeping me healthy, what I eat. It makes up the cells of your body. The food that you eat makes up your cells, and that makes up who you are. Yeah. So
I was sorry to interrupt. I was actually listening to Deepak Chopra actually talking about our bodies and how they grow, and it didn't actually occur to me that our cells do duplicate and they just are renewed every second, but they actually replace themselves in like in very short periods of time, weeks and months. So literally, what we're putting in our body is creating us. It's actually building our cells, which is quite, kind of an amazing thought. But so when you're choosing organic, though, I mean, are there things that you can get by not choosing organic? Are there some foods that you should absolutely, in your opinion, always buy organic, and others that you think, well, if you have a decision to make financially, that choose none?
Well, just to step back for a second, you know that nobody is more than 7 years old because within 7 years, every cell in your body is replaced.
Yes, that's amazing.
So when you think about it, we're all 7 years old, right?
I love that.
Whatever age.
Mature 7-year-old. I love it. But it's true. So I mean, you have a chance. You have a chance every minute, every day, to put goodness in your body. So and build new good cells.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to organic, I mean, I feel first of all, the foods you eat most often, you should choose organic. And things that don't have a peel or that you can't take off a peel. For example, strawberries, I mean, the pesticides would soak right in. So I almost never will buy non-organic strawberries. Something with a thick peel, like avocados actually are fine to buy non-organic because the skin protects them. It's true, not 100%, but still, I mean, if you're going to choose non-organic, there's the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, and they have a list of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15.
Oh, okay.
So that's a really good guideline. So go on there, and if you can only afford a certain amount, buy the ones on the Dirty Dozen if you're buying those foods, or buy the Clean 15 that don't need to be organic.
Can you give us just a couple of examples from your memory? I don't mean to call you on it, but do you know like a couple of things that you should absolutely always buy organic? Like you've mentioned strawberries, I suppose berries of any kind. Any others?
I think the leafy greens also, because if they're sprayed, I mean, you can't really wash off the pesticides. So I mean, just an easy way to remember is just pretty much anything with that you can't wash off or take off a peel.
Right. Okay. So oranges, for example, would probably be, I mean, the fruits with a peel that you wouldn't eat, like an apple, for example. I always eat the apple with the peel. So
Well, that you should really, and potatoes are also very, very
yes,
highly sprayed. So even if you take off the peel, because most of the nutrients are in the peel. So if
yes,
you remove the peel, you're removing a lot of the good nutrients.
yes,
So that's why, and also things like lemon, if you use lemon zest, you should always use organic because there's a lot of spray on that.
yeah.
If you use it for baking or, for to liven up your food or anything.
That actually, that's a very good idea, and I do use a lot of lemon zest. That's a good reminder. But the other thing I think is if you're not going to buy organic, to buy local, because I
Yeah.
mean, for example, here in Switzerland we have wonderful seasonal markets. So suddenly there'll be tons of plums. It's plum
Yeah.
season, and you know that the bio farms where they've come from are more than likely not well. There's a likelihood they have not been sprayed, but I suppose is that a good assumption, or should I even assume that small farms spray?
That's hard to say. I mean, if you have a relationship with the farmer, if you can talk to
You
the
can ask,
farmer,
yeah.
I mean, just ask them. A lot of small farms don't have the money to get certified as organic or biologique or biological, but they still use minimal or no spray. But some of them do. You don't know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a farmer's market or you can have someone you can ask, I mean, just ask them. And I think it's true. I mean, there's a trade-off also because I can get organic strawberries flown across the world, or
Yeah.
I can get local ones. Sometimes I will in the summer buy the local ones because I figure, they don't need as much spray because they're not going very far. So the reason they spray fruit is when they have to travel across the globe, they don't want it to all perish by the time it gets to the stores.
I always wonder about that when I'm buying something that says, coming from Chile, and I think,
Right.
gosh, how long ago did that actually leave Chile, and what were
Right.
the conditions? And so I think again that advice to maybe buy local if you can is good, and but sometimes it's convenient. What about not so much fruits and vegetables, but meats and fish? Like for example, is it okay to buy fish that's frozen, or does that involve
I
not
think that
spraying
this
but adding?
fish, yeah, first of all, it's good to avoid farmed fish if you can because they're just as they're given a natural diet of corn and grain, which salmon in the wild with no respectable salmon would eat corn if it had a choice.
Or they find it. Yeah.
Yeah, right,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, farmed fish are just as farmed as any other animal, and so you have to know where it's coming from and what it ate if you can. So the key is to eat wild fish. Like wild salmon, you can get Pacific salmon or Alaskan salmon is wild, but Atlantic salmon is almost always farmed now.
Ah, okay. Good
Eat
to know.
smaller on the food chain, like smaller fish have really good omega-3 oils, whereas tuna, don't eat it too often because it has mercury. The bigger the fish, the more mercury they accumulate because they eat the smaller fish.
This is so interesting. In our modern age, we're all about convenience and about, fast shopping. We go to a place and buy all of our food in one place. It's that whole convenience thing. But I think what's come along with that, though, are some packaging trends that are not good for us. And so I want to touch really briefly on what, you've referred to as genetically modified, GMO, I think is the term. Just briefly what it is and what we should be looking for in purchasing food that is, safe to eat.
Well, I mean, there's a myth about GMO food that it's hybrid food. And, for years we've been hybridizing food, like choosing the juiciest fruit and growing more of that, cultivating the ripest, juiciest foods. And so, like, for example, our bananas now are nothing like the bananas that our ancestors ate. They used to be small and woody, and now they're full of sugar. Even some respectable monkeys don't want to eat them anymore. They're so sugar laden. But it's not the same because that's just kind of natural selection, and a lot of times people are confused about that and think it is natural selection, and it's not. It's actually injecting a virus or changing the genetic code of a food. And an expert explained it to me this way. She said, if you take the word cream, CREAM, and you add the letter S at the beginning, it becomes scream. And it's a completely different word by changing one letter.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the same thing as, we're fooling around with the genetic code of a food that we're eating. And nobody really knows what the outcome is because it's too new. I mean, we can't really do controlled experiments on people. On animals, there have been many
Mm-hmm.
detrimental outcomes
Yeah.
on lab animals. And so to me, we're just putting a huge experiment on human beings and we don't know
Yeah.
the outcome.
I think we do this all the time too. And I mean, I know when I go to the shop, though, I always look for the biggest tomato or the nicest, the reddest tomato. I mean, it's just something about our nature that we want, the perfection of the beautiful color, the perfect shape. I always look for little bananas that, a certain size. And I think we have to maybe overcome our own biases and just go for the healthy stuff. Just make it our lifestyle to choose healthy if we have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's a lot of good advice about organic, though. That I mean, I'd like to just go back to that for a second because I think organic is something we can control because there are standards. Maybe you could tell us briefly about, what standards exist in the United States. I know it's different in Europe, but how someone can be sure they're getting a good organic product.
Right, because organic is the only thing that can be regulated. I mean, if you see the word natural on a package, it means nothing. Natural is just a marketing term. So, people can say natural, but, if you pick up some kind of packaged food and you look on the back, you can see all kinds of chemicals in it. In fact, there was this hilarious video going around called What is Natural, and they would put a farm or a chicken on some kind of product and say it's natural, and it was not the least bit natural at all. It was just going around the internet and it went kind of viral.
Yeah.
So anything else doesn't mean anything. You have to look for the organic seal. In Canada, where I am, it says biological. In the US, it's the USDA, and Europe has its own standards as well as Australia. And that is it has to be certified, and farmers have to adhere to certain guidelines and not use chemicals and not use antibiotics in meat and things like that. So look for that seal if you're buying any kind of packaged or on the label of a fruit or vegetable.
Okay.
And that is actually higher than non-GMO. Non-GMO is a good certification level, but if you have organic, it has to be non-GMO. So if you go for organic, you're assured that it's non-GMO.
Okay. So I guess just to summarize, what we're saying here is that there are definite health benefits to choosing organic food if you can afford it. And we'll put the link to the article that you mentioned where it has the Dirty Dozen and the 15, because I think a lot of people do like to have an option to choose if they can, and I think you've given us some good guidance. So it's no wonder that you're so good at this because you have a complete, great awareness of healthy living. And I'm, very much appreciative of you sharing, your secrets with us. So thanks a lot, Linda.
Oh, my pleasure.